Hazen.
Never in my life associated the word boring with baseball.
We know what's up.
Me? Yeah. Famous? Yeah.
And I'm like giddy over there smiling like, we're about to win this shit.
Did everyone give you crap? Give me a good host story.
I'm not picking it up.
We both love the game.
We talk about it every day.
Getting on baseball.
Having some popcorn, you're fooling around your phone.
I'd have to wait in line for 3 hours.
Hang on, because it's about to be a wild ride.
There's nobody I'd rather talk to after doing a interview session with a bunch of media than Mike Hazen. Right?
Yeah. Hi, Rob.
You were workshopping this podcast.
I wasn't workshopping the podcast. I'm just wondering how we could have just had the 5-minute conversation that you didn't record and now just launch right in. It's like you're an actor. It's like you could just flip the switch,
I can do the Cliff Notes version of that if you want.
That's fine. It's up to you. It's your show.
All right. Well, what we were talking about, what actor you looked like. And you said that a lot of people say you look like John Berthal. Who's the guy that I said that you look like? Who is that? Do we have a name? The Lincoln lawyer.
I don't know. I don't watch TV. I don't watch as much TV as you do.
All you do is all you do is build baseball teams. What's the guy's name? Hold on. Oh, Manuel Garcia Rufo.
I'd have to Google that. Yeah. Can you put up a picture here for the audience?
Yeah, I will.
Yeah?
I will.
Oh, yeah, right. You're not that technically savvy.
I know.
Man. You can't pull that off. Baseball is boring. Can't pull that off. I promise.
I don't know if I know that you secretly follow it. Your cohort doesn't secretly follow it. I see him all the time.
Who's my cohort?
Meow.
Oh, okay. Yeah, everybody has their own Instagram likes.
I know. What I mean? It's all good. It's friend of the family. We appreciate it. But I'm here. My overall point is that guy's a good-looking guy. You're a good-looking guy. I'm here to build you up.
This is getting weird. All right. Yeah, I appreciate that. You're like Shallow Hal.
No.
Yeah, let's just agree to disagree on this. How about and then we could journey into baseball.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
On that note.
Well, again, I want to make you feel good about yourself. And there's nobody I know, maybe in the planet, that it's harder to crack that nut. But I'm telling you, you should feel good about yourself. You look like the guy on Lincoln Lawyer, and you've done a good job of building your baseball team. You've never looked better. Your brand has never been hotter.
Huh. You looking for a job, full-time gig over here?
Maybe.
I might be in the market. I could use a hype guy.
Right. That's what I'm talking about.
I don't even still have a free T-shirt. And I've done this podcast like 7 times.
More.
Okay, maybe more. And I still don't even have a free T-shirt. I have a sticker. We need to be bigger than the sticker. Okay.
50. I think 50 stickers equal 1 T-shirt.
Okay, that's fine. I'd appreciate a T-shirt. I'll wear it.
Which one? You want the Spanish one or you want the American one or
whatever you decide? Yeah.
The hat. Whole, okay.
Let's get into baseball.
Yeah. No. I'm here. So so when you go in. So as I said, you had your meeting with the media, sort of like the beginning of spring training meeting with it. Am I wrong? Like you had that, right?
I did that.
Yeah. When you go into that, like, how do you feel about that? Like, do you just I just want to get this over with? Or I know that this question's going to be asked. I know that question is going to be asked. Like, compared to whenever you started this thing, I'm always interested in the team meetings and the first interviews.
Yeah. I actually look forward to it because I feel like it's the first time you get, you're talking to your fans. And I feel like it's the first time that I get to do that. That's not on the scale of an individual transaction. Like we'll do media stuff through the offseason as we do transactions. And by and large, there's some broader questions that get asked in terms of team building or things like that. But the majority of that is fixated on that one particular transaction, which any one move that any of us make in a vacuum, barring some type of blockbuster, it's not overly interesting in the grand scheme of things, right? They're all important, but it doesn't, eat up an entire press conference. I think doing the first big press conference is a way you get to ask questions in sort of the aggregate of what you've accomplished or tried to accomplish. And I feel like that's the way for me to communicate with fans on why they're going to come watch us this year, why we think we're going to be what we are, where we think we could take this thing. And so I kind of look forward to it.
So that expert segue into, did you think, I know that every offseason is different, but I think we did one of the podcasts leading into the offseason or early on in the offseason, and you have best laid plans and you have an idea, and you think, okay, I think that when I do my press conference to meet with the media in Arizona, it might look like this. You never know for sure. How different did it look? Like, how many times did you have to zig when you thought you were going to zag?
This was an interesting offseason for us in a lot of ways because we have four huge players on the IL that are very likely to start the IL on the IL to start the season, which is Burns, Puck Martinez, and Gurriel. And so we took on all those injuries last year, and they're all coming back this year. So there was one eye in building this team to bring them back into the fold as they come back and they get ready to go and they come back into the mix. But also knowing that they weren't going to be ready on opening day, you can't just build two full different rosters and then with major league deals and significant resources and then just move on from those deals in May. That's just no trades get made really in April and May. So it was a little more complex in terms of what we needed to do to make sure this team is in a position in the middle of the year to build and grow when those guys come back, but also not be able to just, sell out to April and May in terms of what resources, trades, free agency, whatever. And so that was a little complicated for us to put together. Like these are really good players that are going to be coming back, and we're very confident in their return. Like it's not like how they perform when they come back. Sure, there'll be some ramp up time, but we know they're coming back, and we need to bake that in a little bit. So in that way, it was a little bit more challenging in terms of understanding. We had to rebuild our pitching staff because we lost 6 free agents. Big free agents, most of which I sold when I sold at the deadline, but we knew those guys were all becoming free agents, so we had to rebuild the pitching staff in a significant manner. But then still with Suarez and Naylor and Grichuk and those guys like off that were on the team last year, we also had to kind of fill in there too.
So how did this is a bigger picture question, I guess, but how did the offseason, like you said, you never quite know. But how did the offseason as a whole change or differ from what you thought it was going to be in terms of the market, whether it's free agency, whether it's trade talks? Every offseason's different. It seems like it drags on more than every single year than ever before, and teams are more willing to do it than ever before. From your perspective, how has this been different?
I don't think it's actually been incredibly different, honestly. Like there's always things that get dragged into February every year. And you say those same things about how it gets longer and longer and longer. I don't really think that's what actually ends up happening. There's a couple guys almost every year that I've done this that, migrate into February, sometimes into March. And I don't think it's that atypical. It is what it is. And I don't think it was that much different. Going into the offseason, I have an idea of what I need to get done on a very broad scale, but it's hard to just develop a checklist and then walk down that checklist, especially where we are in sort of the pecking order of the industry. Like, you either have to have a ton of good prospects to make any trade that you want, or you have to have enough money available to you in free agent to go out and sign whoever you want. And, most teams aren't in a position to do both, if let alone one, where they could just develop a checklist. So you have to remain flexible in how it all comes together. The biggest thing that I took going into the season was our defense wasn't very good last year. It really cost our pitching. Our pitching cost our pitching, but our defense cost our pitching too. And I really wanted to shore up our defense, and getting Carlos Santana and Arenado and bringing them into the fold, bringing McCann back. We felt like we really strengthened that side of the ball for us. And that was very important to me, and rebuilding a pitching staff that had lost a number of guys, either through injury or free agency.
You mentioned those two guys, and immediately when I saw you guys acquired them, I'm like, I thought of Longoria a few years ago, and I'm not saying it's apples to apples, but we talk about the importance of having those guys, those sort of guys. You get the information from the manager, you get the information from the coaches, but it's different when you get information for young players from players like that. How much do you put in that stock into that?
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing's apples to apples. If we get out of this situation, what we got out of Longo, sign me up. I know it's not that simple. one of the main driving reasons we acquired Nolan was what he does not on the baseball field in a game. There's a lot of what he does in the game on the field. I think our younger players are a lot of our best players are some of our younger players. And I think it's not just on the coaching staff or the manager to develop and raise these guys the right way. It's also on the guys in the clubhouse. And I do very much believe that the players you put these guys around, it's like raising a kid, like the good environment and trying to be a good parent, and like that you're going to shape who they are as people. Maybe not every bit of it, but you're going to have a chance to round out the edges in a lot of ways. And those subtle development things from a baseball standpoint matter. They matter when the difference between teams is that close. I mean, there's teams obviously at the very top of the food chain here, both objectively and financially, et cetera, that are extremely well run, that, they are what they are. And we know who all those teams are. And then for some of us, we've been to the last weekend of the season, the last 2 years in a row. And then even before that, when we made it in 23, last weekend of the season, you think about it's baseball and one game doesn't matter. You could take that mindset in April, and then you look back in September for the last 3 years, one game's made a big difference to us in a multitude of ways. And so it's hard to sort of not take the position that you have to do every little thing possible that you can to scrap out any little edge or win that you may take during the year. And I think we don't value it. We have no way to value the mechanism really, other than anecdotally or what we feel like happens to these players as they develop. But we've had a lot of really good experiences with a lot of really good veteran players that have really helped the culture and the fabric of our organization. And I hope that that's going to happen again.
Do you look at the beginning of a season different because of what you said so expertly about the last three seasons? I mean, because of the cliche answer, and maybe you viewed it even differently as a younger guy. I don't remember that, but
I remember me as a younger guy. I was a younger guy once, but I appreciate it.
No, I know. I'm giving you another compliment. You look
Why don't
like
you just tell everybody I just turned 50. I mean, is that
I was going to wish you happy birthday.
Yeah, right.
No, I was January 7th, right?
Yes.
Right? See?
Yes.
My instincts are keen. So what I was trying to say is that you look exactly the same as I've always known you, which is a young man that look like movie actors. But anyway, do you look at that differently?
Yeah, and I have to be careful of that, I think, because we have some PTSD over the last 3 years. And I do think you can take that too far. I do, because everyone wants to get off to a good start. The game in April is as important as the game in September. We all know that. But building towards what you would look at July, August, September, putting your team in a position to buy at the deadline. We had one of the best second halves in baseball, I think, last year, crawling out from where we did. Maybe in the end, when we lost the last 5, it knocked us back down. But up until that point where we had lost the last 5, I mean, we were going to finish over 500. And we were 9 under, I think, after the deadline, right around the deadline. So we had played really good baseball in the second half. But we put ourselves in a position, in my opinion, to sell. I didn't feel like I had an alternative strategy to deploy at that time. Now, people can argue with that. Players won't always agree with me with that. I understand that. And, to what degree, when do you choose to buy? When do you choose to sell? I would love to push all in all the time. That's a dangerous mindset to have in this game to be able to sustain organizationally. But that's my instinct to want to do that. So any chance we have to do that, I want to do that. There's no season. I don't want to work in a situation where the season is unimportant. And thankfully we haven't done that. I think if you put too much stock in, you miss the playoffs by a game, every night you go out there, you can make that game out to be way more significant than it is. Push your chips in, flood the game with your relievers, overwork those guys, put them in a dangerous situation. Because when you play in a lot of close games, any one night in April 17th, you could say, man, this was kind of a must-win game to take the series. But that's not really true all the time. So you have to be careful if you put yourself in that mindset and go too aggressive too fast. Guys aren't built up to have that workload yet. Let's say they're on pace to pitch in 75 games during the season. Like those things you have to take into account, unfortunately, because injuries play a major role in what we're doing. So my mindset is like, how do we get ourselves in position for July 1st to buy at the deadline? That's what my outlook is going to be going into the season. And all those games, those 90 plus games that are going to happen from April to July, all matter. Every day matters, but you also have to be smart about it.
How much more what's the difference in trading in the off season than, like you said, when you get to the trade deadline? And I asked this because I think I mentioned this to you. Like Brandon Gomes came on. He said our goal is to not have to pay 3x at the deadline, which is everyone's goal, right? But it's almost unavoidable. But how much more difficult is it to trade? And is it? I don't know. Is it
To trade it in the offseason than the deadline?
Yeah.
I think it's easier to trade at the deadline.
Is it? See, I don't expect that answer.
I'm not saying you're going to pull it off. There's more urgency around making deals. I think during the off season, there's just too many points for teams to pivot off of the trade market. There's the free agent market that's available to you. There's other trades. There's other ways you could build your team. You could feel like we'll figure this spot X out some way. At the deadline, you can't. If you need a starting pitcher, you have to go. Now they may pivot off of your deal, your player, but they still have to. Sorry, I haven't figured out the lights yet. We're still in the dark ages over here, man. Sorry.
I mean, that's the price you pay for signing another pitcher.
There you go. They shut off the electricity. I feel like at least the teams that are going to have urgency around buying, and and they're going to, and by and large for the teams that are in it, they're going to do something. So you at least have knowing that. I think in the offseason, sometimes the conversations are, hey, we have these 6 options available to us. Yours could be one of them, but we may be able to do other things, and that they may just disappear on you. Want your player, maybe talking about making a trade, and then they just go away. And that's where I find that a little bit more challenging in the offseason. And so, yeah, there's more potential teams involved in the offseason. So you have a wider pond to fish in terms of, if there's however many teams are out of it at the deadline, 10. Yeah. So now you're just dealing with 2/3 of the league instead of maybe almost all the league. I mean, the league is probably top to bottom as competitive as it's ever been. I mean, there's very few teams that are not pushing in competitively at a very high clip. I think it's great for the game. I think it's the environment we want to have. And so the offseason, there's certainly more out there for you to engage with.
Has it become more difficult trading in the offseason because there's not a lot of differential in how teams view because of tangible numbers. And, I think there's probably more voices in every front office. So I don't know. Or is it just a case by case basis?
I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's gotten that much more difficult, honestly. I think one of the things that makes it more interesting is I feel like, the game's gotten a little bit younger in terms of guys that have come up through the ranks that are breaking into the game sooner. I like that. We've just talked about how valuable veteran players are in your clubhouse and on your team. And that's always been the case. It's really fun seeing some teams take risks on some of these kids who maybe they're not ready yet, but they have all this talent, and the game bringing that talent up and showcasing that talent. I feel like it's really fun to watch those guys, even if maybe they're not 100% ready. So I think sometimes that avenue, if you have a guy that's in AAA, a pitcher that you're willing to give a certain spot to, that may also make it a little harder because you'll have people say, well, if we're going to go do that, we might as well just give this kid an opportunity too to see what he can do. Now, that's a much riskier strategy. You better be right that he's ready. But I think that's part of it too. I think the game, there's probably a wider spread of experiences in the game today.
One specific guy I'm going to ask you about is Gallen, because I'm interested. I know you touched on when you were workshopping this podcast in the media session, but that's also the element of patience fascinates me. Like, to be patient. Like, I would be an awesome GM. I would be. But I would not be a patient one, which would be a problem. So take me through.
What do you think your strongest skill as a GM would be?
Talent evaluation.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and giving out stickers.
You got that down. Good for you, man. Good for you. I always knew that about you. Yeah. That's why no one's ever hired you in a front office, huh?
Well, see, why
we were just wasted years of talent on.
I'm not. See, why you turning it that way? Like you asked me a question, and I just told you like what I think. Is it good enough to be a GM? No, I haven't gone through the gauntlet. I get it. It's just like, if you were going to do a podcast, I would pick it apart.
It would
You
be
say,
terrible.
what would you do? What would you do well as a podcaster?
I'd be a good listener.
Right. Okay.
I wouldn't. I'd be a terrible listener.
Right. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
so like, oh, you think you can podcast?
Yeah. I appreciate that. Let's switch jobs for a week.
I'll do that.
Undercover boss. You could be the undercover boss. What were we talking about?
Yeah, Gallon. Just take me through like how the whole thing.
Yeah, we're very, very grateful that he's back. He's been a huge piece to all the good things that we've done here. We have a special affinity here from a relationship standpoint, just because we traded for him as a young kid, and we didn't give him his first crack, but I felt like we gave him his first extended run, and I don't know, there's a lot of emotional capital with that. Like we trust him. We trust who he is as a player. I know last year was kind of a tale of two halves, and all right, but you could look at that in a negative way, but we don't. We see him coming back and being a fixture to our rotation, and I'm really appreciative of that. Like, getting top of the rotation starting pitching is not easy in this game. It is the hardest thing we do, in my opinion. Drafting it, developing it, trading for it, signing it, it is by far the hardest thing that we do. It's the most valuable thing on the market, always has been, and it probably always will be. And so look, I don't know what happened. You don't get a full window into the free agent process. So I don't know. I haven't sat down and he probably won't tell me step by step everything that happens, but sometimes you kind of figure out what had kind of transpired over the course of the offseason once you sit down and talk to them. But I haven't done that yet. I am curious to have those conversations with him. I want him to focus on being the absolute best he can be, and whatever his feelings are, what happened this offseason, if there's that next gear and step to take where he's going to take that both for us as a team and then for him moving off into the market, I want that to happen. We're both going to be successful if that happens.
And I'm getting him a shoe deal. I promised him that.
What kind of shoes? Okay. You made a lot of promises.
Yeah. And ultimately they all come true. It's just, you gotta be patient.
That would be your greatest gift as a GM, by the way.
Promises?
If you made promises and made them come true. Yeah. It's really easy for us in our jobs to make promises, and then you have to back them up. So,
have you ever known me not to come through on a promise?
Yes. You have promised me t-shirts year after year after year. I've never gotten a t-shirt. So if that's a small window into your little way you're going to operate, you're going to have a tough time. I just want to help you out.
As soon as I said that, I'm like,
don't walk into stuff like that either. It's too easy to get picked apart.
Two more questions. One is, did Torrey give his speech yet? Did you guys give your speech yet?
Yes.
How was it?
You guys, I don't.
Oh, Torrey. Yeah, just Torrey did?
Yeah, Torrey does it. Yeah.
All right. How was it?
It was really good.
All right.
It was really good. Yeah.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of urgency. We've always had a lot of urgency around what type of baseball team we want to be. And I think he summed it up for all the players very nicely. I think, he speaks to the young players and the veteran players, and he lays out his expectations and how we're going to play the game, how we got away from doing that last year at times, and what our refocus and commitment is going to be to ensuring that doesn't happen again this year. And look, it's right in front of us. It's right in front of us. The opportunity to be competitive, be in the playoffs, and make things happen is right in front of us. And I hope we seize that.
The last thing is a question/statement. You turned 50.
Yeah.
And it reminded me, I want to say that it's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
It's okay.
Is it supposed to be this hard to get out of bed in the morning physically?
It's okay.
It really?
It's not, so
that way when I first roll over every morning.
I literally told Torrey, your manager, this. I remember there was some people you remember turn 50 and you're like, oh, 50, man. I remember when he turned 50.
Okay.
I'm like, man, he looks okay for 50. I could deal with 50.
Okay.
And then so that made me feel better about being 50. But the thing that sucks isn't 50.
Okay.
It's on the other side of 55.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you know I got an AARP letter in the mail?
There's a lot of
Yeah.
the hotel, the Marriott the other day asked me if I wanted a senior discount. Not good.
Not good.
Not building me up.
No.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time.
All right.
You got
it's
any
always
questions
good
for
to
me?
talk
You
to
got anything?
I don't. Probably you might want to get a new hat. I think that thing seems a little
Well,
beat up.
fortunately, we have new baseballs and boring hats, which I will offer more hollow promises about.
Okay, I appreciate that. Yeah. Come follow through on one of those promises.
Oh, I promise that I will follow through my promise.
Okay, thank you.